Once again, I have the camera very close to the piano, and I hope I get a synchronized motion. Sometimes the mat goes off and has a life of its own apart from my life. In any case, I was considering going back to that Sonata in C major by Mozart, the K545, with maybe a new perspective. There's always going to be a different perspective as months and years go by, and you go back and play a piece. I think when I discussed today with an adult student about some of the ingredients of playing well and beautifully, they involve, and particularly with Mozart here, cultivating the singing tone, having a contoured line, being able to transfer various weights into the keys, down your arms and through supple wrists, be able to leverage various dynamics, and that comes from, be deeper in the keys and then less deep, and also thinking the piano as a very dense property here, that it's not, in this case, a hard surface, but it's something to mold. Could be clay. I actually think of a deep bucket of clay when I play the piano, particularly in this music. The opening is kind of interesting because you can thump out these opening notes, or you can think like a singer or a violinist and decide to play more horizontally. And that opening, you don't want to strike that first note too hard because then there's nowhere to go. It's a broken chord. So the way I think of it is to sing it with the do here, singing it as this. Then lean on the 4 chord. I've done this before. Lean, resolves down to the 1 chord. Dominant, we lean a little. And resolve. Now just knowing that as harmonic rhythm, and I went over this in previous tutorials, knowing how the harmonic rhythm fuels the shape of the line and the melody is extremely pivotal to the way you're going to play it. And I blocked out the left hand as I was doing it and sped up the process. I would normally separate the hands. So when you put it together, you can't forget that contouring. And breathing into it, of course, is important. Taking that deep breath in, relaxed breath out, and coming in on the stream out, not the gasp. So. Now the scales. Of course, I'm playing it back tempo now. The scales are have a crest up. They come around in a kind of circular motion with a round corner, then come back down, go up again, come around, that roundness. And the sequences, because they come down, what makes the fingering a little tricky for the average student is it's not orthodox scale fingering, because it comes down 1 step and initiates another scale, means that to arrive with the thumb on that step down each time, you need to bring a 4 over to get there instead of the standard fingering. So you've got to analyze your fingering, but contouring wise, you don't want to kind of play a flat bunch of scale passages. It's very easy to sound like a robot. And so to overcome that, to sing it as the model and sculpt it is important. The other important thing is in the left hand, the leaning and the less don't occur where we normally think. You have the beat number 4 going to beat number 1 would be, let's see what happens. Lean less, lean less. And we're normally used to coming down forcefully on downbeats, which we shouldn't. But here it's like lean on the 4th beat and less on the 1st beat, the way the harmonic rhythm plays out in this piece. Yeah. So the sculpting of this right hand is very important. There's a surprise there. We don't expect the D minor chord, which is the 2 chord. We don't expect it. It's a bit of a deceptive event. So that's a little delay. The D minor. Go forward to the D minor melodic scale just for that measure, and then coming around again, leading us back to C major, taking away the C sharp, which is part of the melodic, and getting to the dominant chord of C major. Okay. So you have this surprise, surprise. That left hand you don't want to have vertical invitation. And that's one chord, four chord, one chord, four chord, one. Well, one G major, but it is the dominant of C. However, actually does go to G major. It has two rolls. You think it's a dominant, he's going to come back to C, but no, he ends up staying there in G major. So it's also a surprise. And now we go to the second theme, and then you have to come way down, way down. There's a little intro leading into this gorgeous second theme. This must be soft. If you come out of this, let's say, you think he's going to do that. You think he's going to go to C, but he doesn't. He decides to stay in G, and this would be the Fi, the Fa, and the Mi. Fi, Fa, Mi. If you think of solfeggio, solfeggio is important because it helps navigate your way through the piece and gives you a map, and you have the movable do, so you can move it around. So this is going to come out of this, way down. You really have to get that second theme down to this. Students do that I want to point out that I don't agree with is that they get to this section that I played before, they tend to make an equality between the right hand and the left hand, but really what's happening in this part harmonically is you have the left hand creating the harmony like this, the bed of harmony, this. So what's happening? So when it plays out, you don't want that left hand competing with the right hand because it's a broken chord, but it's a bed of harmony, a bed of broken chord harmony against the gorgeous melody on top. So you want E, C, G, B, C, A, B. That's the thread. Then, when you get to the development section, this is where the meat of the matter is in this part, and that's the parallel minor, which is a big surprise, and that's big, big. Yeah, you need to take your time because in my performance I don't think I took enough time. When you're going into the F major now, you can't go through a stop sign, but you have to, make a slight poco ritornando, and so that you can smoothly get into F major. Now the hardest place for me, and probably for everybody, are these series of scales in F major. Nobody likes this section at all, and so very slow practicing is important, and watch fingering, because fingering is so important here. Now when you get to these scales, do it slowly like this. Do the scales slowly, just like this. Shake less, just like before. Now, you have the inverted counterpoint. The left hand is less. Less. Surprise, D minor again. Surprise. Melodic minor. Then you're way down again, and this time, by the way, that was very familiar because we'd done, on the preceding page, we'd done that same melodic minor, except now we're not going into this key. We're going in back to C major. This would be the recapitulation of the second theme by entering it this way. But listen for the F sharp as structural tones to the F to the E, because all the common tones, we don't want to hear them pumped out or riveted to death. We want, follow that moving. Slow motion, of course. Smoothly. So that's a little bit of slow motion. That lean less, in that gorgeous measure 63. If you're doing it in tempo, you get this.